you work on the computer or a laptop, because the combination key with a number is a little bit tricky depending if the numbers are only on top of your keyboard or if you've got the number pad on your keyboard itself.
If I'm just working on PC and doing writing and other stuff, I'm using the number pad, not the numbers on top of the letters. And that's why these numbers are difficult to use for me.
By the way,
the combination. Yeah.
I've got my teacher's head on. I use the number pad. No, I am using. So as soon as you say...
Yeah, I used...
No. Every time you say every time, then you don't say I am using, you say I use. So every time I use...
But I'm using it right now. I'm using it right now.
No, you're not, because I can tell you're not typing.
on my mobile phone at the same time I'm texting.
Okay. But you're not using... There is no number pad on the mobile phone, so I can still tell
Oh, shit. I don't want it.
I've had my coffee this morning, Zom, so I'm with it this morning. You can't get one past me.
You're on the button. You're on the button. But pay attention.
I'm on the ball.
You're on the ball.
Okay, so it seems to be working now. I don't know what had happened. I just restarted my computer and suddenly it's working. So, although it was running all night, my computer, I think it had just gone on strike. Okay, so as I tried to explain earlier, but it wasn't recording, so let's start again. This is Spotlight. Spotlight looks at different aspects of the network. Now, true confessions now. You'll see on the calendar it says move to new website. And today I was going to go, look at the lovely new website. I'm not going to do that. It's not ready. I have a problem moving the content from the magazine onto the website. It just will not move. The file's too big. I've tried all sorts of... I was really hoping Aladdin would be here today, because I was going to say to him, what do you know about SSH protocols? Because I can't get this damn thing to move. I tried it using the normal system stuff that I understand, and the file was too big, so I looked into it. Okay, I can use this thing called SSH. Okay, I'll do that. I have to download all these programs and set them up. Okay, I'll do that. Several hours later, I'm going, doesn't bloody work! So nothing's working at the moment, so I can't go, ta-da! However, Aladdin yesterday requested that I show you guys something that I did do before, but it didn't record. It's like a bit of deja vu, isn't it? Which is why I was a bit paranoid about making sure this time it records, because I don't want to have to do it again. And that's the reason we're in a private room, so that I can screen share with you. But first, I have a question for you both. Do you use... This is a silly question, probably. Do you use Google Translate? It's not a trick question. I'm not going to tell you off if you do.
Actually, very rarely, because I use, I prefer to use Lingua actually when I've got a sentence I'm stuck with in my native language. Yeah, because I don't want. I'm not using much Google Translate at all. Actually, I would use it in.
Hang on, I don't use Google Translate much. I'm not using much. No, I don't.
Yes, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't use it. Generally, I don't use it.
Okay. No, Lingua is good. Don't get me wrong. I like Lingua because it gives you so many examples of different uses of a word, which I really do appreciate. I use it for German, actually. Marco, have you heard of Lingua? Is this new to you?
Oh no, I haven't heard about it. But I'm using Google Translate.
Right now. Right now?
No.
I use Google Translate.
Yes.
It's something I've noticed actually when you're speaking.
It's just so easy to
the continuous form. Yeah, I have put it forward to the powers that be that we should get rid of the simple present and just use the continuous, because I think we're capable of interpreting whether we mean now or always. But they weren't having it. I'm sorry, you're stuck with I use it all the time and I'm using it now.
Okay.
I mean, people will generally understand if you put a time reference in, but if you just leave it as I'm using Google Translate, people will interpret that that you're using it right now. Okay?
Okay.
If you say, I'm using Google Translate all the time, then they'll understand that you're just not that hot on grammar.
Gosh, bugger.
Okay, so let me show you why you might want to try using Google Translate a bit more. Not at the expense of using Lingui. As I say, there's nothing wrong with Lingui. But there's a couple of things you can do in Google Translate now that I think really lend themselves well to learners. I am using it a heck of a lot for my German. Okay? But my main use is German, English, English, German. Okay. Obviously, you can use this detect language, which can be very useful in Vikings when somebody sends you something you have absolutely no idea what language it's in, and you can get if you can get a screenshot of it, and if you can extract the text, then use detect language, and it will tell you, or it will try to understand whether it's Punjabi maybe, or Chinese or Japanese, or some dialect of those, okay, which is quite useful. But if you know the languages, it's best to use this part. When you're using Translate, I'm sure you know this already, but I'll just go through it. You can swap from translating from one language to the other, and you can just reverse that by doing swap languages. It's very quick and easy. And you can even do that by, if I were to type in Ich bin ein Berliner, okay, and I suddenly realise, oh no, what? Ooh. Oh, I've typed German into the English bit. Just swap it, okay, and it says I am a Berliner. In fact, that actually translates as I am a donut, okay. Yeah, it does, because in German you'd say Ich bin Berliner. I'm from Berlin. Yeah, not Ich bin ein Berliner. Ein Berliner is a donut in German. So JFK actually stood in front of thousands of people and went, I am a donut.
Simpson.
It was awesome. Now, of course, that gives you the information there and now that you want. You can do it on your phone. It works very well on a mobile, on Android especially. Do it on your computer, on your tablet. It's a handy tool. However, do you find it difficult to remember what you searched for yesterday and translate it?
Nope.
Me neither.
Either.
No, I can't remember what I translated in my German lesson an hour ago. Okay, that's how good my memory is. Zom, can you give me a phrase in English that you want to translate into Spanish?
Tomorrow is Guillotine Day celebration in France.
Oh, of course it is. Is that okay? So tomorrow is Guillotine Day celebration in France. And how would you say that? So I'm not going to use my Spanish.
Mañana es el día de la Revolución Francesa.
Wow. Okay, so fine, you've done that. It's tomorrow. You want to say the same sentence, and you're like, can't remember. Okay, so what you can do is use this to save it. Now, have you noticed this star?
I'm not going to collect all your sentences. Come on.
Hang on. What?
I don't collect. I'm not a collector.
I'm just saying you can save it. Okay? Now, when you save it, it goes into a word list up here. And it collects your words as a phrase book. Now, what you'll see is there's the one that we just did. Okay? And you can listen to them.
Tomorrow is Guillotine Day celebration in France.
And you can listen to it in the language that you're learning.
Mañana es la celebración del Día de la Guillotina en Francia.
Never mind.
Okay, it will record. Take my word for it. I'm not going to change my sound settings so that you can hear it. I'm sorry. that way lies disaster. But it did record, so if you want it, you can do this yourself on your own computer. Okay. Now, you'll also see this is the lesson I did this morning in German. Ein stichhaltiges Argument, a valid argument. Stichhaltig, cogently. Ich suche vergeblich eine besseren und günstigeren Wohnung. I'm looking in vain for a better and cheaper apartment. Überzeugen, referee, unparteiisch. All the words that I felt I needed, and phrases, only short phrases, you can't put a dissertation in there, but short phrases that I had to look up for the session are in that phrase book. Now, that's really great, but you'll notice, okay, you can sort it by different ways, but only by when you added them and the original text. I do an hour's German every day. Can you imagine how big that list would be? How long that list would be at the end of the week, never mind at the end of a couple of months. You can't seem to search through it. It's good, but it has limitations, okay? You can delete ones, okay? Just by, you click on all, and then the ones that are ticked, if I were to press delete now, they'd all disappear. But what you can also do, and here's another question for you to answer, do you use Google Drive?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
as well.
Yeah. Okay. What you can also do, that list, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that one because I don't want to confuse myself in a week. I'll be thinking, why was I doing Spanish? So that's gone now. Then I click on all of them.
You go through it.
And I
go through it. You
go to here. Okay.
You can export.
Yeah.
To the site.
And you have to be logged into the Google account that you use for Drive, or that you use for English, or that you use for whatever language you're learning. Okay. And it will export it as a CSV style file into Google Sheets. So if I click on export, it will go to Google Drive, ask me if I want to import it. I click on import the data. There's the list. Okay. Obviously, if you know spreadsheets, you can fiddle around with it. You can make sure you can see the rather longer pieces of text. Okay, that one's very long.
What is the last one?
We were talking about morality and ethics. I'm at level C1 in German now, so it's got a bit long. The phrases have got a lot longer than when I first started the course. Now, it's always going to be called Phrasebook. So what I do, because I'm doing this every day, I do, and then I put
tag it with a date.
Yeah, and I give it an idea of what the topic was. Okay. And that.
What is your opinion about Google Translate? How well it translates to long sentence?
It's getting much better. Now that I'm more confident in my German, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's a machine. It's never going to be perfect. But now I'm more confident in my German, I am more likely to notice those bits where they haven't quite got it right. But remember, a lot of people are contributing to Google Translate, and I've contributed a few corrections or additions as well, especially for idioms and sort of common fixed phrases. It's not so good with fixed phrases, but it's getting better. I mean, I've looked up some pretty obscure things in English just to see, and it's done really well, I have to say. I also use it on my phone. I use it on my phone with my earbuds, and I can talk into my earbuds, and it translates onto my phone, and I can then play the person who's listening to me can listen to it in their language, whatever that is, and then they can speak into my phone, and I can listen to the translation on my earbuds. It's
So we are all polyglots with an interface.
Yeah, with also the proviso that it might do it wrong. It's not worth going to war over a Google translated document.
We will stop learning languages in the end.
Well,
we just can use the translator.
Yeah,
stop learning languages.
Did any of you Trekkies? Are you Trekkies?
I'm not going to say I am, because if I compare to other people that are Trekkies.
But you've watched Star Trek, yeah? The TV series Star Trek, yeah?
I watched it. Yeah. Yes, I've watched it several times.
They're communicators. that's where we're going. That we're going to have those communicators
True.
and instant. At the moment, there's always going to be a wait between what I say, the machine translating it, and getting the message over to the person receiving the information. Eventually, that's going to get shorter and shorter until when I speak, it's going to be like I'm speaking the language. The person I'm using this for is as a secure place to keep, and I'll show you that I am using it. Okay, there you go. So, Phrasebook. Oh, I forgot to put some in. See, sometimes I'm in a bit of a hurry, but always with the date. Generally, never say always. And when I remember, with the title of whatever it was I was learning. Okay, it's all learning. I've read Kafka in English. I doubt if I would try to read it in the original because it's difficult enough to understand in English. But it's nice to talk about these things. It's good to talk about these things. And as I say, I use this particular tool to keep a note, my own personal notebooks on vocabulary and phrases that I can then review at any time. Only related to sessions I've been in. Only related to what I want to save, not what it's not been given to me by somebody. It's me entering the words, it's me listening to them, and it's me saving what I'm interested in. Okay. So, any questions? Were you aware of this use of Google Translate? Have you used it that way before?
No.
Okay. Can you imagine? I think Zom's going to say, no, I'm not a collector of words.
Well, it's not my way of memorizing. It just is not the way I memorize stuff. I don't go through the list. It might help me to type stuff down to memorize it, but I never go back to what I've written.
How do you memorize things?
It's pretty easy to me. What I was used to doing, attending the LAN sessions in English and the vocabulary ones and reading sessions, and interacted afterwards, just the next hours, the next days. I was really using the words in the forum in my day-to-day interaction, actually. That's how I was doing it, but I was relying on my memory. So if the session was interesting to me, I don't know, I was focused to reuse that word in the next hour and the next day. And it's how it worked.
Now, I'm interested because I think what you've just said kind of just clicks into my brain as to why I set up the network in the first place, to allow people to use what they'd learned, to actually use and practice what they already know. Sadly, I can't do that. I can't really do that in German, unless for every session I was to find a forum on Kafka maybe and try to communicate with. But then it's time. I'm always limited.
The network was, but when I was into my English, I was really into it to develop it, and I dedicated a lot of time to it.
I remember.
And the network was great. Never mind the time. I was trying to make the time for it, to dedicate the time for it, and to free myself during the session. And what is good is that the session on a specific topic was running over 2 or 3 weeks, so the same words was coming back again. And I was very active in the forum as well, and so on. And in my case, I think it worked pretty well on the these mechanics to memorize stuff. So I've never really kind of vocabulary, lexical stuff or whatsoever, and it reminds me too much of school that So I was trying to do something differently, and the network was there, so I was really putting myself into doing things differently.
Okay.
And it's worked.
Oh, no, I know.
Now Google Translate.
I think.
Well, it's work. It took time. It was. I'm not so good at learning languages, but then it was much better than what I've ever tried before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad to hear it. I mean, I kind of know. I already knew, but I wanted you to say it for the camera. No, it's exactly how I believe people should learn. But if the possibility is there, I think this Google Translate tool is, especially if you're doing a more formal sort of learning experience than maybe the Learn English Network is, where you have a set lesson and they stick to that top. I mean, in our sessions we go off topic all the time because I always go, that's how we are as human beings. But in a lesson that's being run by a teacher, generally they stick to the topic, and there are notes. They give you notes. They give you a PDF form, but I prefer to use Google Translate to just jot down my random thoughts during a session. The things I might not even have said to a teacher, to be honest. Like I think you'd had a brain hemorrhage because it's too disruptive to the class, kind of thing. But it's useful for me to do that. Marco, what about you? How do you remember words? How do you remember phrases? What do you do?
Actually, I think this Google bookmark system is pretty good. I think if I read something and I want to collect the words what I don't know and save them to somewhere, I can check out after that, and later on, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, you can imagine yourself using it. Actually, you just said the word collect again, you see.
I was about to react.
I thought you're right. Now, be honest, Marco. Again, no right or wrong answer. Do you think you would review the word lists?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because I do have to make a true confession here now. I do this religiously in every session now. And I can honestly say I've reviewed the word lists on a couple of the sessions, maybe once. But I'm not a very
I will do it just before the exam or just before the session.
Generally just before the session or during it. Because remember, these sessions I'm doing, they're actually online. The teacher can't see what I'm doing. So sometimes I'll open it up during the session and then I'll make myself look really clever by cutting and pasting a phrase I've already made. Regarding Kafka or something. But what the hell? It's not cheating, it's not a test or exam. But yeah, I think if you're going to use this for beginners, I think it would be very good to keep a little. I've got a couple of beginners that I'm teaching face to face. I've showed them this and they love it. They've got these books with phrases in, with words in, grouped by theme. But I've told them, reading that is fine, and reviewing it is fine. But play with it. Use this. Keep the phrases. Come to our next session. We'll look at what you've written, how it's formed, and see if it's how a native speaker would say it. And then we review it together. So I'm kind of using it in my session, in my lesson. These are lessons, by the way. They're not sessions. These are lessons with students, and they love it because they can do it on the phone. It's there. They can then. On the bus when they're going to work, they can just review the vocabulary. And because they're actually using it rather than it being given to them in a book, it's staying better in their heads. Because I always say,
then I might have used it if it were around when I was really dedicated a lot of time to develop my English. I might have used it then.
Yeah, because what they can do is they can have a theme. My home, my family, my life, my work, and then they can put the phrases in and then review them. And that's the key, to review them. That is the key to learning, is to not just keep loads of lists and pieces of paper with lots of words on. You need to actively go back to them. And
make me think of something. Mm-hmm. I should use it in the work context. And I work for different industries. I've got their own lingo, and when I've got to interact with English people in English, I think it might be useful to me just to the way people speak and the keywords they utilize, they use all the time. I should have that. It would be pretty handy for me to blank to be able to go back to the conversation using their own keywords to paraphrase their stuff. I think I might use it in the future.
Okay, good. Then my work here is done.
I'll try it. Let's see if it's very pertinent or not in my case.
Well, let me know, because as I say, I'm finding it very useful within the sessions. I'm finding it useful. I could make more use of it. I know I could if I were a better learner. If I were a better student.
At least I think that we should try it out. It might be pretty handy.
Yeah, well,
But you need a practical way. You need a practical way to use it. If there is no finality of it, I don't see the point. It's just one more tool.
Yeah, that's true.
So I need something practical that is useful for me in my.
For me, because I know you said you use Lingui, which is great. But for me, I kind of like this because I'm creating it. I'm not looking at what somebody else is giving me, if you like. It's something that I'm building for me. And it's not something I'm sharing. I don't know if anybody would even be able to make sense of my word lists. But when I look at them, I remember the session more easily. And remember, I have got
it's a trigger.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So
it's a trigger.
It takes you back to it takes you back to the session. It takes you back to the session. All right. Okay.
It's interesting. Indeed. Okay. Any questions? Anything you'd like to add?
No, it was nice to present this feature that I didn't know actually. So, and maybe great discovery.
Now, hopefully, the next Spotlight session will be about the new website. Okay, I had better go. Okay.
All right.
See you later, maybe.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for coming.